Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. My name is Matt Morris. We are live right now on Rumble at Matt Morris TV and on YouTube at Matt Morris TV. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you what, we have one hell of a show. Today has been a very eventful news day. So please, if you would do me a favor, it helps with the algorithm on YouTube and on Rumble. Everybody, if you would smash the like button, make sure to subscribe. I don't even know where to begin. We have three massive, colossal news stories today. The first of which, as of today, you might have heard the news, a federal judge has just thrown out the cases against James Comey and Letitia James. And I don't know how else to say this. There's really is only one way to say this. This entire situation, the toss out of these cases, really can only be blamed on Pam Bondi and her, dare I say, incompetence. And we are going to break down that entire situation. But also today, we're going to be talking about the ongoing case against the seditious six, as everybody is calling them. We have a massive update from Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, and he is going scorched earth. So we're going to talk about that today. We also have, oh my good Lord, this is going viral literally right this moment. In fact, in the next 30 minutes, we might have more updates. I don't know, so we got to see. But there is a bombshell report going viral all over the internet right now, in which we hear from a reporter that the 2024 presidential election was actually almost stolen successfully by the Democrats yet again. And I say yet again because we all know the 2020 election was stolen by the Democrats, and that Venezuela and Nicolas Maduro, the president/dictator of Venezuela, played a key role in the attempted steal. It didn't work. We're going to talk about why of the 2024 election. And this is just stunning news. So we're going to go through that today. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, today really is a massive bombshell day, if I might say that word. Everybody, please make sure to follow and like and subscribe, folks. Let's just go ahead and jump right into this, everybody. Thank you very much for being here. Let's get on with the news. Everybody, first off, breaking, a federal judge has thrown out the case today, as of like 4 hours ago, against James Comey, as well as Letitia James, claiming that the U.S. attorney, Lindsay Halligan, a woman named Lindsay Halligan, was invalidly appointed. Well, that raises the question, invalidly appointed by who? Well, the answer is Pam Bondi. Before we get to that, let's take a look at this Fox News report going over some of the details, ladies and gentlemen.
Getting dismissed. The judge ruling the appointment of interim U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan violated the Constitution. The judge also criticized the DOJ for allowing an FBI agent who viewed Comey's privileged materials to testify to the grand jury. Now, the judge also tossed the case against Letitia James.
Yep.
Donna, we are just getting this on the wire. Talk to us about your top line thoughts in this moment.
Well, frankly, I'm not really surprised about the appointment of the Attorney General on that situation. I did think that that was going to be an issue, and I did think from the very beginning that Comey was going to have a valid legal argument. And what's interesting about the decision is it doesn't go to whether or not crimes are actually committed. It just goes to the way in which the prosecutor was appointed.
That is right. So Letitia James and James Comey, they have not been found innocent. No, they're saying this was almost like a, I don't know what you would call it, an invalid case. And the reason why is because they said, and the judge agreed, that U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan was illegitimate, that she had no right to be attorney in this case. And we're going to talk about why.
So I'm not surprised legally when it comes to that issue.
Right. Do we foresee at all then an appeal or a different then prosecution, a second bite of the apple then with procedural things intact?
I would just, I mean, yes, it's a 29-page opinion. I was just reading through it. So sorry if I look distracted during our segment. It doesn't get to the claim of malicious prosecution that Jim Comey was making. So this is solely the appointments clause, and that's why you have both cases dismissed against both individuals.
Right.
And it is kind of interesting, though, because obviously that's kind of a fluke side ruling, not on the merits of the case. But it is kind of interesting how all of these fluke side rulings always tend to seem to go in the same direction.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I want to give you an opportunity also if you want to go back, because it was
So I'm just going to keep it real here, folks. The news panelists here on Fox News, they are not going to say what I'm about to say. One of the best things about being in the position I am legitimately totally independent. I don't have any ties to New York City, Fox News studio. I don't have any ties to the White House. I have no professional ties whatsoever, to be honest with you. I'm just a guy in my office at home in Idaho. And so that affords me a certain amount of, it's a capacity to just kind of keep it real and say what needs to be said here. Pam Bondi, with this appointment, has completely dropped the ball. This is a level of incompetence. It almost makes me wonder if she did this on purpose. And I want to explain why, okay? The DOJ's prosecutor, who was chosen personally by Pam Bondi, is a woman named Lindsay Halligan, who we were talking about. Now, Lindsay Halligan is actually an interim attorney who was temporarily appointed by Pam Bondi herself after the previous appointee or attorney, in this case for the Eastern District in Virginia, resigned from his position. So previous Eastern District of Virginia attorney resigns. Pam Bondi finds a new appointment, interim, temporary appointment to take his place. She only was allowed to do this for a couple months. It wasn't a long-term thing, temporary position. Now, these attorneys, they have to be sworn in by the Senate. They've got to be confirmed by the Senate. In order to actually do anything, they need to be confirmed by the Senate. So Pam Bondi, okay, that's fine. She appoints an interim attorney. That's great. That's normal. That's fine. That's not where the problem lies. The problem is here. Pam Bondi then she personally selects the interim attorney to prosecute this specific case against Comey and Letitia James. And now Comey and James' defense team, they said, wait a minute, this attorney, this prosecutor is illegitimate. They weren't sworn in by the Senate. They weren't confirmed by the Senate. And the judge said, well, you're right. She is illegitimate. This attorney has no right, legal right to be the prosecuting attorney here. And so it makes me wonder, why in the living hell did Pam Bondi could have picked any attorney? Pam Bondi chose the one attorney who is an interim temporary attorney who has not been confirmed by the Senate. She didn't have to pick this one. She deliberately did this. And so now the cases have been tossed out. Now, of course, there's going to be an appeal. We're hearing that there's going to be an appeal. Maybe they'll find a new attorney. I don't know. But it's like, listen, okay, I dropped out of college to become a broadcaster on the internet. Okay. I've got a 2-year degree in microbiology. I'm a college dropout. If I know about this, if I know of all people, if you guys know about this, that you can't have an attorney prosecuting in a case like this who has not been confirmed and pushed through the Senate, if I know this, then how does Pam Bondi, who is the Attorney General of this country, presiding over the Department of Justice, how does she not know this? It really makes you wonder. It's a very curious set of circumstances here, to say the least. Now, we actually hear from Pam Bondi, little smirk on her face. What does she have to say?
If I could just get your reaction to the James Comey, Letitia James cases being dropped today. Back in Washington, James Comey put out a video. He said this matters most because a message has to be sent. The President of the United States cannot use the Department of Justice to target his political enemies. Your reaction to the cases being dropped into that specific message?
Sure, we'll be taking all available legal action, including an immediate appeal, to hold Letitia James and James Comey accountable for their unlawful conduct.
What is your reaction to his statement?
I'm going to keep going on this. I'm not worried about someone who has been charged with a very serious crime. His alleged actions were a betrayal of public trust.
Real quick, Pam Bondi, if Comey and Letitia James have committed very serious crimes against this country. They've betrayed the nation. Then, quick question. Why did you pick a prosecuting attorney who has not been confirmed by the U.S. Senate? If this is so important, and it is of the utmost importance, then why did you pick a prosecuting attorney who was illegitimate, who didn't even have the legal capacity to prosecute on this case? I don't know. And so now we're going to appeal it. Okay, great. Okay. And we hear from White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt about that appeal.
What I will say is that everybody knows that James Comey lied to Congress. It's as clear as day. And this judge took an unprecedented action to throw these cases out to shield James Comey and Letitia James from accountability based on a technical ruling. And the administration disagrees with that technical ruling. We believe the attorney in this case, Lindsay Halligan, is not only extremely qualified for this position, but she was in fact legally appointed. And I know the Department of Justice will be appealing this in very short order. So maybe James Comey should pump the brakes on his victory lap.
So they're going to appeal this. Listen, here's the thing. How many different district attorneys do we have to choose from? Like dozens, maybe even hundreds. I don't know. And Pam Bondi once again decides to choose the one who is temporary, who's a temp, who's interim, who has not been confirmed by the Senate. It's nonsensical. It doesn't make sense because it is nonsensical. Very curious set of circumstances. Now, ladies and gentlemen, General Michael Flynn chimes in on this. He says, "I'm certain others will have their opinions, but mine is not an opinion. It is based on hard evidence. Donald Trump should hire Sidney Powell as the Attorney General immediately. I'm sorry, Pam Bondi, but this was completely avoidable." Thank God I'm not, dude. I love Mike Flynn. Patriot. Really. He is an absolute patriot. And thank God that all of us here in this community, me, you, all of us, thank God that we're not the only residents living in Crazy Town. We're not living in Crazy Town. General Michael Flynn comes out of the woodwork. He says, listen, Trump, replace her. You need to replace her. She is incompetent. This entire dynamic could have been completely avoided. Replace her immediately. And he says, who? Hire Sidney Powell. I'm not super familiar with her, but honestly, at this point, probably anybody. I might be an attorney. I might be a better attorney general than Pam Bondi, and I'm a dumbass. Sorry, pardon my language. I don't even know, man. This is just ridiculous. Now, we have another story here that I want to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, today's an action-packed day. There's been a lot of news today. We have a massive update regarding the seditious six. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth has just released a massive statement, and we are going to read through that right now. He says, the video made by the seditious six was despicable, reckless, and false. Encouraging our warriors to ignore the orders of their commanders undermines every aspect of good order and discipline. Their foolish screed sows doubt and confusion, which only puts our warriors in danger. Yeah, true. He goes on to say, 5 of the 6 individuals in that video do not fall under Department of War jurisdiction. Excuse me. 1 is CIA and 4 are former military, but not retired, so no longer subject to UCMJ. However, one of the 6, the seditious 6, Mark Kelly, retired Navy commander, is still subject to the UCMJ, which is the Uniform Code of Military Justice, for those of you that don't know, and he knows that. As was announced, the Department of War is reviewing his statements and actions, which were addressed directly to the troops, while explicitly using his rank and service affiliation, lending the appearance of authority to his words. Mark Kelly's conduct brings discredit upon the armed forces and will be addressed appropriately. Now, something very curiously that I would like to highlight here. This post that Secretary of War Pete Hegseth has made is actually, he reposts something else. And what he reposts here is 10 USC 688. And so we're also talking about 18 USC 2387. This is specifically what we talked about on yesterday's broadcast, which carries up to a 10-year sentence if found guilty for sowing the seeds of sedition or insurrection. Mark Kelly, be careful, watch out. Seems to be the case. And up to a $250,000 fine, or both, 10 years and $250,000. And so the way I take this is, if Secretary of War Pete Hegseth is reposting this specific post from the official Department of War page, which is talking about very specific laws and regulations, I would be pretty worried if I was Mark Kelly right now, a member of the Seditious Six. Now, he does seem to be worried. In fact, we have an update coming from him, and it almost is a little bit despicable. I want to show you how he's handling this. In a disgusting move, Democrat Senator Mark Kelly is fundraising, begging for money off his calls for sedition by the military against President Trump and the Department of War investigation into his sedition. He says, if Trump is trying to intimidate me from doing my job, it won't work. He said, I need you to chip in. I need you to give me money. Give me money. Give me money. That is what he's saying. Give me money. And so he's sending out campaign emails. When I was 22 years old, I swore an oath to the Constitution. I've upheld that oath every single day. Well, then why are you pushing for insurrection and sedition? Then why are you a seditionist? I need you to chip in. Donate $20, $50, $75, $100, $250. Other, we will not give up the ship, but I want you to give me money. Patriots, do not give up the ship, but give me money. This is disgusting. And also, by the way, already there are rumors swirling around for the last 2 days. I've been seeing everybody talk about this, that Mark Kelly is going to use this entire dynamic, guess what, to launch his 2028 presidential campaign. That he is going to try to capitalize. I mean, he already is capitalizing on this drama. It's not drama. I almost said drama. It's criminal behavior. He's capitalizing on this entire situation pertaining to his criminal behavior. He's trying to raise money, and he's going to use this, rumor has it, as a springboard to launch a 2028 presidential campaign. Maybe that's why he's raising money. He's trying to build out the war chest here. Get some money in the war chest back in the coffer. So just absolutely insane. It's going to be hard to do, though, Kelly, if we find you guilty of sedition and put you in prison for 10 years. Which, hey, if Pete Hegseth has anything to say about it, that just might end up being the case. Now, folks, there's another massive breaking story here today. I want to give you a little bit of a background here. Like I said, there is a story right now, right this very moment. It broke like 3 hours ago, and there are still emerging details about it. So I'm going to have to reload the page. Maybe we got some new news. There is a reporter by the name of Emerald Robinson, and I'll tell you her background here in a minute, who has just dropped a bombshell expose talking about how, once again, the 2024 presidential election was almost this close stolen from President Trump in maybe the same way that the 2020 presidential election was stolen from President Trump. And this rabbit hole goes deep. Nicolas Maduro, Venezuela is involved. I believe even, we're going to read through this, I believe maybe even Dominion voting machines are involved in this. Of course, I'm relaying to you the contents of her report. And we are already also having like some very important, trustworthy, prominent people come out and corroborate this report. So this is not some random Yahoo barking at the tree here. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me go ahead and introduce you to a woman. Her name is Emerald Robinson. This is her right here. So she is a former Newsmax and One America News Network White House correspondent, the savage queen of Twitter. Maybe some of you know who she is if you're a big fan of Newsmax or One America News Network. And so she was a White House correspondent for a long time. And so she has decided to come forward with this report. Let's go through with this. Let's just read all of this. It's kind of a long one, so buckle up, folks. A few weeks before the 2024 election, Senator Mullen and former Senator David Perdue finally arranged a meeting between President Trump and his advisor, Susie Wiles. We're going to talk about her a lot today, by the way. A meeting between Trump and advisor Susie Wiles and the one man who could explain exactly how America's election systems are rigged. The meeting took place at Mar-a-Lago a couple weeks before the 2024 election. Susie Wiles had publicly said that election fraud was not real and that people who thought so were crazy. As you might remember, Susie Wiles did not have President Trump's back when Trump was ranting and raving, justifiably so, about how the 2020 election was stolen, and it was. Susie Wiles was saying, no, shut up, this is crazy. However, after this briefing at Mar-a-Lago, she didn't know what to think. She asked for a piece of cake, and then she ate it very slowly. Then she made her decision. Trump's team should be briefed on this entire election interference dynamic as well. So she was not a believer. So just to be clear, so far, Susie Wiles thought that election fraud was impossible. You've got to be crazy. And then she had a meeting with Trump and some other senators and some advisor, the expert on election fraud, and even she was convinced. Okay, something weird is going on here. In the end, the man stayed at Mar-a-Lago for 3 days to brief everyone in the Trump team. There was only one man who Susie Wiles trusted to confirm everything, Elon Musk. A call was made. The man found himself in a room with Elon Musk. The election fraud expert found himself talking to Elon Musk. Musk declined to sit through the entire briefing. He said, just give me the data. That sounds very Elon Musk. So Elon Musk read the AI summary of the technical data, and then he picked up his phone and he made a call. We have a problem. It's true, is what he said. Then Musk got on a plane to host a Trump rally in Pennsylvania. It was October 17th of 2024, to be specific, just a couple weeks before the election. Musk got on stage, if you remember, and started talking about Dominion. He was attacking Dominion, the electronic voting machines. Elon Musk said at the rally, there's always a question of Dominion voting machines. It's weird that they're used in Philadelphia and Maricopa County, but not in a lot of other places, he said. Doesn't that seem like a heck of a coincidence? Said Elon Musk at this October 2024 Trump rally. Musk was warning us. The system was rigged. The report goes on to say, how possibly could the 2024 steal be stopped just a few weeks before the election? The man who briefed Elon Musk had a team, Patrick Byrne and Gary Bernstein. Now, by the way, real quick, Patrick Byrne has come out and corroborated this story. Emerald is, he said himself, Emerald is breaking the story at last. He came out today and said, there's one corroboration. This team, in which Patrick Byrne was a part of, had recruited a dozen people who knew how the rigged system was built in where? Venezuela. The system to rig U.S. elections was built in Venezuela. they had worked for a company called Smartmatic and Maduro. This report says, this group of whistleblowers were hiding in a hotel in Gstaad, Switzerland before the 2024 election. That's where General Flynn, one of our favorites, General Flynn flew there in Switzerland to go talk to them. Flynn asked them the question, how long has election fraud been going on? That's an important question. The team said, Venezuela now rigs elections in 72 different countries for the last 20 years. That is just astounding. Venezuela has been allegedly, according to this report, Venezuela is the epicenter of election rigging in 72 different countries for the last 20 years. We'll keep on reading. The whistleblower from Venezuela had meetings with Elon Musk's team and Trump's team to explain to them the technical details of the election fraud. The most important detail, the Dominion IP addresses had been located. The IP address allows you to geolocate where somebody or something is. You can say, oh, this person is in Caracas or whatever, right? All it cost to get this whistleblower to talk and to get the Dominion IP addresses was $15 in Bitcoin from an anonymous Japanese account. $15 goes a long way. Up here in the US, that's about the price of one hamburger. Maybe a side of fries if you're lucky these days. However, down in Venezuela, you can have a Venezuelan election rigging whistleblower tear down the entire system for $15. Amazing. The report goes on to say, the relevant data and IP addresses have now been verified. That's when Senator Mullen came to the rescue yet again. A cybersecurity team got the data. 3 days before the 2024 election, the Dominion office in Serbia was hit. Their computers were now rendered useless. So the way I interpret this, what seems to me is that the cybersecurity team, which is like sort of on Team Trump trying to stop the rigging, carried out a cyber attack. That's what this sounds like to me. Cyber attack to shut down the Dominion office located in Serbia. This is like some international James Bond stuff, ladies and gentlemen. It's hard to keep track. I'm trying to go slow and make sense of all this. Cyber attack, shut it down. 3 days before the election. The report goes on to say, on election day, nobody knew if the cybersecurity team had been successfully knocked out on the Serbian computers. So we don't know how successful the cyber attack was. Everybody at Mar-a-Lago had to wait for the results without certainty. Are we going to have rigged elections or not? I don't know. I guess we just got to wait and see. The man who had briefed Musk flew to Oslo, Norway, that day. His team would flee the United States if they failed. So if they failed to shut down the election rigging, then they were planning on fleeing the USA. Why? Because Kamala Harris would have won the election and she would have been looking for vengeance. The entire Kamala Harris left-wing deep state, they would say, listen, you failed to stop us. You failed to stop us rigging the election. And now you're going to have to get your comeuppance. Now there's going to be hell to pay. Now we're coming for you. So their plan, if they failed to stop the rig, they were going to flee the country. The report goes on to say, imagine that moment on election day. Trump had no idea if he would win. So Patrick Byrne is watching the results from Qatar. Gary Bernstein is watching the results from Switzerland. all of them would be hunted down if the 2024 election fraud was successful. So Patrick Byrne and Gary Bernstein, to me right now, I'm making sense of this. They sound like patriots right now. They are preemptively out of the country just in case the rig goes through. They have done every single thing they could have done to help President Trump, to help save the republic, to stop the rig from going through. And they know by working with Trump to shut down this election rigging apparatus, they knew that if they failed, they would be hunted down. And then who knows what? Criminally tried or assassinated? I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, one of them is in Switzerland, one of them is in Qatar. They knew they'd be hunted down if the 2024 election fraud was successful, and the USA would be finished. This report goes on to say, Trump was upset with his own staff after Elon Musk verified that the fraud was real. Trump had been gaslit for 4 years by his own team to drop the topic. Trump, stop talking about election fraud. Trump, you got to get over it. Trump, there is no fraud. Trump, this is from Susie Wiles. Trump, the only people that believe in election fraud are crazy. Election fraud? Do you really believe in that, Trump? Come on. And so when Elon Musk and his team came forward and said, yeah, there's fraud. Yes, there is. We can confirm it. Trump was pissed at his own staff. Can you believe that? Makes sense to me. In fact, his staff hired a Cuban intelligence asset to investigate the fraud in order to lie to Trump that our elections were fair. Do you understand that? I want to know who is this Cuban intelligence asset and who hired him? They deliberately hired a Cuban intelligence asset to lie to Trump, to investigate the fraud, and then lie to Trump. Hey, Trump, there is no fraud. You know, we often talk about the swamp. We talk about the deep state here a lot. It is a problem. We never really talk about the possibility that members of the deep state are within the White House. Are they inside of the administration? It's like the old horror, the phone calls coming from inside the house. The phone calls coming from inside the house. I don't know. Very curious. Very curious here. General Michael Flynn, who was also cited in this report, he has come out and seems to me sort of corroborated this entire dynamic. Take a look at this. President Donald Trump, please listen to the voices across America who want you to do the right thing. Doing the right thing is always harder. We know that. This is from Flynn. But that is why we, the people, gave you the hot seat. We trust that you will do the right thing to save America from falling into the dustbin like many previous empires throughout history. Yes, there are enemies inside of the wire and many outside who work with those on the inside. There you have it from Michael Flynn. The enemies are in the White House. Again, recognize them and deal with them. We are with you, and we want you, President Trump, to the best of your ability to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. We, the people, need you to succeed. God bless America. And so we've got two individuals coming on out, two trustworthy, respectable individuals coming out, corroborating this story. I would love to see Elon Musk come out and say, yep. That would just be the nail in the coffin, final nail in the coffin. If Elon Musk, and I haven't seen that yet, but he might later today or tomorrow, I don't know. Could you imagine if Elon Musk came out and corroborated this entire story as if we don't already have an adequate amount of corroboratory statements? But good Lord. Now, there is a report I want to show you here today. This is also going viral today. This news right here. Susie Wiles is reportedly on the hot seat as President Trump's chief of staff, with changes to the administration expected to come in January of 2026, 2 months from now. Admin staffers, powerful Trump donors, consultants, and the MAGA base have singled out Susie Wiles for siloing President Trump away from his supporters, causing displeasure. And so we've seen a lot of reports like this. This is one. Another report that I saw earlier today is that Susie Wiles is pushing Trump to focus on foreign policy more than domestic policy. The biggest critique I see of the Trump administration right now is we want more deportations, make the economy better. These are domestic issues. Americans, makes sense, are concerned about what's going on with America more than what's going on in Nigeria or Israel or Palestine or Ukraine. I think this makes sense. We're Americans, America first, living in America. And so the allegation I've seen levied all day is that Susie Wiles has been one of the big pushers. We got to focus on, foreign policy, when all of us, everybody else is like, listen, can we please talk about domestic issues? Can we please go all in for the next 12 months leading into midterms, 100% domestic issues? And you know what? Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair critique. And so, ladies and gentlemen, after going through all of this news today, I'll tell you what, it is entirely possible, for better or for worse, my opinion or your opinion aside, this just seems to be the case right now. January of 2026 might be a very eventful month. We might see some heads rolling. Heads will roll, so to speak, figuratively. What I mean by this is we might have a little bit of a shakeup inside of the White House, inside of the Trump administration. And as things currently seem, Susie Wiles, as well as who? Pam Bondi, they might need to start looking for new jobs in January of 2026, because right now it seems like Trump is not happy. We've also seen, this is all in the realm of hearsay. I've heard, and it's all birds chirping, so you got to take it with a grain of salt. I've heard that J.D. Vance doesn't get along with Susie Wiles or Pam Bondi, that Vance views them as being the weak spots in the administration right now. That's all he said, she said. Take that with a grain of salt. So, we got to get through holidays. Thanksgiving is in a couple days, Christmas, and then it's January. And that is the season for change. That's the time for change. So, folks, it's going to be a very eventful couple weeks, couple months. Everybody, I want to go ahead and pull up my super chats. I want to know what you folks have to say about this. While I pull these up here, I do want to say, everybody, please make sure to like and to subscribe to the show. Big news day, like I told you, a lot to talk about. Let me go ahead and pull up some of these super chats here. Oh, yeah, here they are. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I've got them up. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Real quick, let me ask you folks, yes or no, would you be happy to see Susie Wiles and Pamela Bondi replaced by someone maybe that's a little bit more effective or America first? Real quick, show of hands, yes or no in the live chat audience. I'm looking for some feedback. Let me know. And while you guys do that, I've got a handful of super chats here. So everybody, let's go through this. Let's get her done here. So the first super chat of the day, this is from Matt. Nice name. You must be very smart. You must be a very smart, handsome young man. Very wise beyond your years. Everybody named Matt has to be a genius. I'm kidding. He says, been almost a year and not one Democrat in prison. I'm losing faith in Trump. I think what we might be talking about here is Trump maybe losing faith in Pam Bondi. We saw Trump. We talked about this a lot when it was news. This is 4 or 5 days ago. Trump on Truth Social, he posted that meme featuring Chris Farley where he's looking at Pam Bondi and the caption is, "For the love of God, please just arrest someone." So, and that was Trump who posted that on his own page. Trump has kind of reached his limit here with Bondi. He's not happy. And then today's, of course, we talked about today's massive, colossal, just an incomprehensible level of incompetence. Pam Bondi appoints a prosecutor to this Comey and Letitia James situation who hasn't even been confirmed in the Senate. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm just pissed off thinking about it. I'm sorry, I got to simmer down. Crystal Coleman says Trump administration turned against him first term. Seems like it may be happening again. That's the only explanation. That's how I'm feeling at this point. I do think most of the Trump administration has got his back. Maybe I'm too optimistic. And of course, I'm on the outside. I don't know anybody on the end. I don't know anybody. The only people I know are you guys. Okay, so you're the only people I know. But I do think most of them are good. But yeah, it seems like some of them are bad, a little bit rotten. Seems to be the case. And so hopefully we have a very, hopefully we have a January of great transition here coming up. We have a couple replacements, hopefully. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. John Jones says Trump needs to reappoint Mike Flynn as National Security Advisor. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, Michael Flynn is one of the greatest living, currently alive American patriots. This guy is a patriot through and through. I personally put a lot of respect. If that guy opens his mouth, I'm listening. Okay, I like Flynn a lot. He has proven himself time and time again. So, yeah, you know what? I think that would be a good idea. You know, maybe National Security Advisor or something else in some capacity, getting him legitimately involved in the administration again. Yeah. Now you know all of Trump's appointments, they have to be confirmed by the Senate. You need 60 votes in the Senate to do that. Actually, no, wait, no, you only need 51. I apologize. You only need 51. For a Senate confirmation, all you need is 51. There are 53 senators, Republican senators right now. Now, the question is, would we have any rhinos vote to confirm Mike Flynn for any capacity, any position? You might have some rhinos flip and not agree to do it. So I'm not sure if we even could get him in the administration. I don't know. We do have some rhinos in Congress. Thank you, though. Thank you. Yeah, I'm with you, though. In sentiment, I'm with you. JRG Projects. He says the fact Comey got off after starting the coup that kickstarted Fauci's COVIDian fiasco is absolutely unacceptable. We need an ADA, Jack McCoy-like prosecutor to go after these criminals. Bondi is playing while Rome burns. I have, listen, you guys can go dig through my YouTube channel here and Rumble channel. I've been critical of Bondi for like 12 months. I was critical of Bondi before it was cool, okay? I was doing it before anybody else. And I hate to say it, I was right, you were right, I think a lot of us were right. Yeah, listen, we have got to save the republic. That is what it comes down to. We have a once-lifetime opportunity, and we need everybody in the administration in a position of power to be in lockstep, full steam ahead, not dilly-dallying, not joking around, not goofing around, not appointing prosecutors to prosecute cases against Comey and Letitia James, two of this nation's biggest criminals, who haven't even been confirmed by the Senate. You want to talk about kiddie hours? Bondi's over here splashing around in the kiddie pool with floaties on her arms. Woo, look at me. Get real. Get real. The fate of the nation, the fate of the republic is at stake. Get a damn grip, Bondi. I saw somebody else, they said that, I guess I shouldn't say the name, they said, I watch another YouTuber and he's never critical of Bondi. He's always defending Bondi. You know, listen, this is the other thing with these YouTubers and Rumblers. They've a lot of these guys doing what I'm doing here. They've got professional connections. They've got a phone line into the White House. They're connected. They're having congressmen on their show, on their live broadcasts. I'm like a desert island, okay? It's you guys and me out here in the middle of the ocean. We are on a deserted island, no connections. And that has its pros and cons. The pros of this dynamic here, one-man operation, no connections at all. The pro of this dynamic is that we can keep it real. If Bondi or whoever else, Susie Wiles, messes up, anybody, we can say, listen, This is a problem, Trump. We got to get this shit back on track. We can be honest. We can keep it real. So thank all of you on Rumble and YouTube for being a part of this community. Like and subscribe. We are fulfilling a very unique purpose here that maybe a lot of other people can't do, that a lot of other communities cannot do by nature of their circumstances. Thank you, JRG. Mike has a $5 super chat. Thank you very much, Mike. And the final super chat of the day is from Anthony Iannone. 86, 87, 66, $15 super chat. Thank you very much. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you sincerely, very much. Everybody, that is going to be a wrap for today's show. Every single day we are here. Now, I do need to let you know, I've been doing live broadcasts at 4 p.m. Western, 7 p.m. Eastern for a long time. You might have noticed for the last 3 days, I've actually bumped it back an hour. 5 p.m. Western, 8 p.m. Eastern. And I'll tell you, it's kind of better for me. So I might just permanently change my daily live broadcast to 5 Western, 8 Eastern. I like it more. Hopefully you guys like it. Seems to be going fine. So I think that's kind of what I'm going to keep doing. A little bit of a PSA heads up. 5 Western, 8 Eastern. I think I'm going to keep up with that. Everybody, thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate it. We got to save the nation. We got to save the Republic, and we're doing it one day at a time. So thank you for being here, Rumble and YouTube. I'll see you all tomorrow. Whatever's happening tomorrow, we're going to be talking about it. Everybody, thank you very much. God bless. Stay safe. And until I see you next, everybody, thank you very much.